All right. Testing, sound check.
Testing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, let's just give it a second. All right, that looks good. I just got to adjust my feed here. I'm over the overlay. There we go. All right. Welcome to CanHammer, everybody, your source for 40K from the Great White North. We are here tonight with Custodes Tactica Part 9. I had to count them up, and I counted the special episode and the interview, and so we're on 9. C Farsight, welcome. And tonight we're joined by special guests, pretty last minute, but I thought it would be a cool topic to have somebody on. And we're joined by, as the ticker tape would say, not just any random scrub. In fact, random scrub number 2, as you might know him on the Custodes Discord, whose real name is Chris. So welcome.
Hey guys, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So thanks for joining me, man. You're one of the more active members of the Custodes Discord chat. And I've noticed you're also on Reddit a lot and just generally out there kind of spreading the gospel of the Custodes. So it's
Yeah,
great to have you on.
it can get pretty slow at work, so I have a lot of free time.
Yeah, I gotta say, you're probably one of the few people who's on more than me, including at weird hours of the morning.
Oh yeah, my schedule's really bad.
So, the topic for tonight is LVO. Specifically, we're going to talk about Custodes at the LVO. Tomorrow night, if you watch our podcast, I'll be joined by Chris again and Nick, and we'll be talking about LVO in general. Nick's prep for the LVO, but also looking at some of the LVO lists, and we'll be doing a fantasy draft for LVO, totally ripping off the starter scrub idea. So join us tomorrow night for that. But tonight we're going to concentrate on Custodes at the LVO. And what better way to armchair quarterback people than by two guys who aren't going to the LVO? So what we're planning to do is just look at some of the lists that people are bringing to the LVO that are playing Custodes, and then just have a look and see what they're bringing. And then what we might finish off with is, if we were going to LVO, what we would bring to LVO, considering the current meta and also these interesting terrain rules. So, before we get started on that, I just want to thank everybody for supporting the channel and Twitch. If you are interested in joining the Custodes Discord chat, the link is down below in the Twitch panels. And what I'm going to do right now is put it in the chat. There you go. I do have that technology. And please join. So, before we get started, Chris, why don't you tell people how you got into Custodes?
Custodes. So I actually started off as an Age of Sigmar player.
Also, you bought Stormcast by accident, and you're like, oh, wrong gold, guys.
I actually started off with Seraphon.
Okay.
All like the lizard people and the Aztec vibe, and me being Hispanic, it really vibed with me.
Yeah.
And almost nobody at my local store plays Age of Sigmar. I didn't know that when I first started playing. So I decided I'd buy into an army that I thought was like relatively cheap, low model count, easy to paint. And I don't know. I just kind of fell in love with Custodes. It's a fun army to play.
Yeah. So you fell in love with the playstyle or the models or both?
I actually really enjoy the lore of Custodes. Just being the best of the best in Imperium.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, for sure. As people know, that's why I got into it with the books. I think like the 2 or 3 books that they had, the Webway one and the other one, can't remember. They've popped up in a few stories as well, but that really got me. And so when the Codex came out, I was straight in, and it also helped that the models were so awesome. Cool. And so I know you're from the Chicago area. You're gearing up for Adepticon. Do you get to travel much to tournaments, or just Adepticon's your big one and some local tournaments?
So this is actually my first tournament I'm going to.
All right.
Yeah.
And going straight into Adepticon.
Yeah. I bought my first box of Custodes at Adepticon. So I figured this would be a good chance to, for it to be my first tournament.
Cool, cool. Well, Adepticon's interesting. That's another tournament with interesting terrain, and they have their own mission pack, and it's certainly an interesting mission pack. It's not one that I particularly like, but it is something that you can definitely build towards. What's up, Yoshi? Welcome. Okay, so before we get started, I talked to the lists. I think there were 9. So first thing to say, this is going through BCP player app, looking at the roster for the LVO 40k champs. There's I don't know how many players here, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and so we couldn't look through every single list because some of them have lists but no factions. So what I did is I just went through and picked the guys who had put Custodes as their faction, which indicates that they're pure Custodes, and then looked at those lists because it's impossible to go through every list with this many people. And there's lots of people who haven't put their faction down, so I don't know. Maybe they're Custodes. Chances are we're not missing many people. I think we're less than 10. How many was there?
Just from the counting the list you posted on Discord, there's maybe 9.
Yeah, so there's 10, including Eric Chalk. So that's not a lot out of
10.
800 people. They think is going to be there.
Jeez,
my math is not good, but yeah, there's not a lot of people.
That's 1%. That's literally 1%.
yeah. And certainly, if you ask the Falcon about Custodes stats, there are not a lot of representative numbers in his stats. So we just pulled the people who are there playing pure Custodes and looked at their lists. And so we'll start with the one and only Eric. So Eric, who's been on before, was rumored to not be playing Custodes at LVO, which was a vicious rumor, turns out, because he is playing Custodes, and he's playing actually the exact list that he talked about when he was last here a few episodes ago. So he'll be playing Valoris, Shield Captain, 1 unit of Shield Guard, and then the double Vexilla with 2 axes, so 1 of each banner, and then 2x6 Aquilon Terminators. Is he running all the flamers? No flamers.
Yeah, I don't think you can fit flamers in at all.
Yeah, no.
Because you're 1996 points.
Yeah,
I think that list.
Each Terminator unit is 477 points. So yeah.
Man. Yeah, for 6 models, man. It hurts.
That might be one of the most expensive non-Titanic units in the game.
Probably.
It's even more expensive than a knight, except for the Castellan equivalent. That's pretty expensive. Okay, so what do you think of this list? How do you think it's going to do in this shifting rune environment where there's at least one big rune, other than in Dawn of War, one big rune right at the tip of your deployment?
It could potentially do incredibly well. But there's always a chance that you just roll bad.
Yeah. Assuming average dice rolls, I think Eric's biggest problem is going to be flyers. Because the rune's not going to save him from that, and there's no boxes.
By far.
There's no boxes on the top 100 tables. So, and he kind of needs boxes to save himself from flyers, which he cannot interact with. Except for 1 Shield Captain, which would be target number 1. So I don't know. I don't know if he can pull out a 6-0. He could probably win the first 2, and then he's going to be on the top 100 tables. So it's going to be difficult.
I still expect him to do fairly well, despite having to fight against Eldar Flyers or even Necrons, which have a resurgence, because apparently they counter Marines to some extent. I'm not too sure how true that is, but
yeah, I think they have a chance against Marines, but Stalker bolt rifles still kill things.
Yeah.
Their dreads with Laskins aren't going to do bajillion damage to the Doomsday Arcs, but Stalker bolt rifles probably do more damage, to be honest.
Yeah, just from the mass, just all the dice you have to roll.
Yeah.
Eventually, you'll fail enough of them to bring them down.
Yeah, yeah. So, welcome S. Cron. You ended up going 5-0 at the tournament. He was magnetizing destroyer flight. Oh, I remember that conversation about he was struggling to magnetize his flight stands, and what did we tell him to do? I can't. I told him to just drill it and stick it in. But you could use magnet burn as well. That's good, man. Congratulations. Yeah. So I think he's gonna do. What do you think he's gonna go? I think he's gonna go 4-2.
4-2. I think he could go 5-1, maybe 6-0 if he gets like the right matchups.
Yeah. I don't know. There's so much Marines, and even your average scrub, not a random scrub, but even your average scrub with with Nick Nanavati's Iron Hands list, which is basically what I've been playing, can just screw you with 4-up Overwatch. Like, you can't, you got to be careful.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
Yeah, it's just really nasty out there. But I have faith in Eric. He's a really good player, so I think he's going to go 4-2. Hopefully he goes 5-1. I think outside chance he goes 6-0, but I don't think he's going to get into the top 16 with pure Custodes. If he does, he will become a god amongst men. He will become the new emperor, and we will guard him with our lives.
Yeah, I'll be incredibly impressed if he does end up going, 6-0.
But then we're going to get nerfed in like the next FAQ.
I mean, I'm still expecting that point increase from the FAQ, but
they never did FAQ chapter approved. That hasn't come out yet. It's been months and months. It's like
I think it's only been 2 months. It came out like early December.
Yeah. Well, usually within what, like a couple weeks usually.
It's possible that they're just waiting for all the Marine stuff to come out before they collectively nerf everything.
Maybe.
Hopefully to the ground.
MWKJSR. That's quite a name. Rex is still 100. He is indeed still 100, so use him while you can. So we had no complaints about him being 100 at Charity Hammer. Maybe because he just died instantly every game. But anyway. Okay, next player we have Bridger Hawn. I recognize his name. And first thing I'll say is that none of the people playing Custodes at LVO are in the Custodes chat Discord. You can take that for what it's worth. So we can not claim any influence on any of these people's lists. So Bridger, I think he won something once. I recognize his name. I cannot remember from where, but I think I recognize his name.
Bridger Hawn.
Bridger Hawn, yeah.
Okay, I see it now.
Okay, so he's running Valoris Biker Cap. He's running a Guardian Bomb. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A full unit of 10 with 3 shields. That's interesting. That's something we've talked about a lot on the Custodes Discord is the Guardian Bomb. And then he's running 2 more units. So he's got a battalion, 2 more units of the Guard with 2 shields each. He's got the Vexilla +1 attack Vexilla, not -1 to hit. And then he's running
no -1 hit Vexilla.
No -1 to hit. And he's running double battalion. And then the rest of the other 3 guard units are all storm shields. And he's got captain in Alaris armor and another biker cap. Interesting list. So 2 biker caps, a shield, a Terminator cap, Valoris, and a +1 attack banner and 6 guardian units, including 1 10-man. What do you think of that, man?
I'm not too sure. I think the Guardian Bomb is still just not good enough.
Why?
Wardens are so much better. For what, 7-point upgrade?
Yeah.
You get an extra attack, a 6-up, feel no pain.
Yeah. I think
an extra leadership as well.
Yeah, and they got the Misericordia.
Yeah.
And they have an extra wound. They have an extra attack, so they have a lot of extras. Oh no, they don't. Yeah, I've been playing that wrong. They have a lot of extras, and you can. And people points. Argue, well, there's the age-old argument of spears versus axes, which we've already resolved. Really, only affects T5 and T7 things. Yeah. But you can always run your wardens with axes, with spears, and then you can have +1 to wound on those guys. So. I don't know. Yeah, as you say, I don't think the Guardian Bomb is as good as Warden Bomb. Just cause. Yeah. But it's interesting because he's probably trying to run double bat, so he needs 6 units. So he might as well, and he doesn't have enough points after running a double bat to run much else, basically.
Yeah, each battalion is like minimum 750 points.
Yeah.
So that's already like, that's 3/4 your army right there.
And then he has to have 2 characters per battalion. So
Yeah.
you probably like 4 shield captain, 3 shield captains on bikes, but you probably couldn't afford it. You had to skimp out. Maybe he didn't even have the 10 points for the -1 to hit Vexilla.
Oh yeah, probably he probably didn't have those points.
No, he didn't. Like, what's he at? He's at where's the total? Yeah, he's at 1999. So it didn't literally had to cut the captain to a Terminator or he could have made it just a normal foot captain. Then he could have used the -1 to hit. Yeah, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how he does. I don't think there's quite enough terrain to hide those dudes. Not
against Marines.
Yeah. Okay, that's an interesting list. I'll be following him with interest. So question from Klopfoot for you. What do you think about Virtus Praetors, i.e. bikers?
I think they're just too expensive. They didn't get a point drop in chapter approve. I mean, they work fine. They're okay against Marines. But since then they just didn't get a point drop, they're hard to fit in list.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're always gonna want 5 or 6 of them, maybe even more than that, and they just get shot off the board turn 1, and then you're 500, 600 points down.
Yeah. So I think the thing that really hit it home was on a recent list. I think it was my ETC list, actually, because ETC you can't bring Forge World. I had a unit of 5 bikes still in there for mobility and objective capturing. That's probably the only good thing about them is the mobility. Man, if Venetari had 2 have saved, they would like fill that gap so nicely. Being infantry, anyway.
Yeah, I love Venetari, but they're so bad.
So anyway, so I had this unit, 450 points, 5 bikers, 5 is the minimum, and then and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna drop these guys, and I dropped it, and I could fit a whole bomb and another Vex in there, and I was like, God, it's just a lot of points, So that really struck it home. But everything Chris said is true. So they're expensive, yes, everything's expensive, but they're extra expensive. They can fly and they move fast, but they're blocked by terrain. And that is the thing I really noticed in the last few months playing them is they get blocked on the charge. So despite them being so fast, you spend an extra turn charging what you want to charge because you can't do it in one turn, so you end up stopping and then going the next turn. So actually, it slows you down a turn. Conversely, it's a weird thing, but it's totally true. They're hard to hide because of bases and weapons, and they're pretty large models, actually.
Big ass spears.
Yeah. They don't die easier than the rest because they're actually our toughest model, but proportionately, they don't die that much harder than our other units to make them worth that extra points. So unfortunately, it's not a good time for bikes right now.
Unfortunately, T6 kind of feels like a hindrance. It's in that weird spot where you're still getting wounded on 3s from T7 and T8 from strength 7, strength 8.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like it's that much better than T5.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. Obviously, they're not going to make bikes T7 because that's kind of like vehicles and up. But it's like you're paying for that kind of, and not really getting that much out of it. So yeah, it's too bad. We'll see what our book brings and whether bikes can make an entry. But I think bikes are still strong. Don't get me wrong, they're still strong. I just think there's too many downsides now to be spending $450 on 5 models. for
if
different
Marines
points.
do end up getting nerfed, I could see Chaos and GC Other Gulps coming back. And that's when bikes will shine again against like Plague Bears and
Yeah,
Cultists.
yeah. That's why they were still in my list till recently, until Plague Bears kind of took a dive after Marines came out. If we start seeing a lot of NIDs again, maybe. But yeah, it's difficult right now for them.
Yeah.
Caps Lock, you have not missed much. We kind of just started. GSC in the next Psychic Awakening, they are indeed GSC, Tau, and maybe Death Guard. And
From the looks of it, it's Death Guard.
Yeah, our book is a bit delayed. That's okay. Okay, so next up is Chris Jones. I do not know Chris Jones, so thank you, Chris, for representing. Chris is running, looks like a battalion and a vanguard. He's running biker cap with 2 salvo launcher biker caps. He's running a basic guardian unit, 3x3 guards, no shields. He's running 2x3 bikes, so 2 3-man bike units. Then in the vanguard is a Terminator captain and 5 Alaris custodians.
With spears.
And then the double Vexilla. What do you think of that?
Honestly, this list is so unoptimized. Like, there's not really much to comment on. I would probably start over from this list.
Yeah, so I like the double Vexilla. That's something that we talk about a lot these days. But he doesn't really have much to really add that to, Like,
yeah, there's no bomb. There's no like power in the list.
Adding an attack to 3 Guardian dudes is not really that big a deal. And then he's just got a bunch of characters, and then so he's got the Alaris bomb. Now my latest list really fancies a 7-man Alaris bomb because I think it's Alaris's time. But 5 is it's okay. I kind of think that Alaris, you either go big and make it a proper bomb, or go small, like 3, maybe 4-man, and make it a utility harassment unit because they can deep strike and they got these little nifty little tricks. I find like the 4 or 5 area is just kind of hedging your bets a little bit. But then he's running them with spears, so he really has not much in here to deal with high toughness, except his 2 salvo launches, I guess.
131 and 687. I think that's 1998 points.
Yeah.
It could be that he chose spears to just have the points.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah. And what do you think of 3-man bike units?
I don't actually think they're bad. Just not good against Marines.
I think actually, so in the old days when I used to run 18 bikes, so I used to run 7, 7, and 3. The 3-man could be quite useful as a utility unit that goes around and messes people up and charges things and grabs objectives, but they just die really fast. And so in this list where they're the only fast element of your army, those 2 bike units will just disappear. And that's the problem. And then now you've spent the equivalent of 6 bikers, so 540 points down the drain. It would be better actually if you made that a 6-man unit, and at least then you could give it the +1 hit, -1 hit without having to worry too much about positioning, and that would give you like a second hammer along with your Alaris unit.
So I don't actually think the salvo launch is that bad anymore.
No, me neither.
It's just I wouldn't take more than 1 as a dedicated like anti-flying captain killer.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. This just feels so unoptimized with all these characters.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the salvo launcher, because we so need anti-tank weaponry, I think it has a role. I just think like 1 or 2 salvo launchers not going to really help you that much. And to do that, you're going to put your captain out in front of everybody, and they're going to die. And so, yeah, and if we were going to optimize this list, then I would combine the 2 bike units together and give yourself a Give yourself a proper bomb then, and then you have the option of deep striking them and the Alaris unit and hiding. So
Yeah,
there's
and
that.
please give those guardians some shields, please. At
Yeah,
least one.
I think right now with how cheap they are with the shields, I think there's almost no reason. I mean, I've been running. I think most of us have been running at least 2 or 3 shields in a unit of 3, just because surviving is better than killing. Currently, with our
Yeah, and
book.
that's pretty sad.
Yeah.
We gotta
Yeah.
rely on how tough we are.
All
Even
right.
then, we're not that tough.
KR Quinn, I'm playing LVO, but doing the friendly messed up your knee, so 4 games seems more survivable. Yeah, 6 games getting kicked in the face. Yeah. Well, you could always drop after 4 games. Same thing. Yeah. Okay, watch out in the friendly. You might come across people like Devin playing Warhounds on top of Sky Shield landing pads. Okay, Knight Zelt. Okay, next guy is David Knight Zelt. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. Let's just find him here. And okay, so he's running. Let's see. Battalion. Okay, so single battalion. He's running Trajan Vlors, the shield cap on a bike with the Eagle's Eye, which is interesting. I hope he has an extra.
Eagle's Eye, what?
Yeah, I hope he has an extra. I hope that's an extra relic, because there's no reason to not run the Auric Aquilus if you're just running one shield captain and he's carrying your relic. Why not reroll charge?
Yeah, that's very strange.
Well, he has here actually Radiant Man. Oh, Warlord trait, Radiant Mantle. Okay. Yeah. So he has 2 shield captains on bike and Trajan as his characters, and one of the captains has the Eagle Eye. So really, what you need to do then is put the Eagle Eye on one and Auric Aquilus on the other one, because then they're both 3 up. A 4 up save shield captain really not survivable. Yeah. So maybe just forgot to write it down. I don't know. Okay.
Well, I mean, the list is already in the tournament, right?
Too bad.
It's not like you can change it.
Okay, and then he's got your basic 3-man guardian units, and 2 of them have a shield. And then
Misericordia's on the shields.
yeah, I think it's just extra points. Yeah, extra points. And then a spear unit, and then he has the Magnifica, and then he has a 4-man and a 3-man bike unit, and then he has a Telemon. Woohoo! Double fist Telemon. Okay. What do you think of this?
I mean, Misericordias don't work with storm shields. You just don't get the extra attack.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 6 points. That's an upgrade to another shield guardian onto that 3rd unit.
And he's got 7 Misericordia on all the bikes. So, yeah, I would just put those into shields probably.
Yeah. I think it's okay. This is probably something I'd recommend to like a beginner, just someone getting into Custodes. As far as it being competitive, I don't see this. I don't see this winning more than like 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
If that.
I think if we were going to optimize it, as I say, spend all the extra points on shields. I personally not a fan of so many HQs, but I can see the argument for HQs. But definitely you want to put a 3-up invuln on both those captains. Otherwise, they're just too vulnerable. And then, as I said before, I would actually combine into a 7-man bike unit, or just bring it down to 6 and spend the 90 points somewhere else. Telemon double fist. So if you ask Tyler, of course, he is running like 3 at a time. And
I actually don't think the Telemon with double fist is bad by any means.
No, he's not bad. You just got to get him there. So you're obligated then to
Spend the command point to deep strike it.
Exactly. So you got to spend the command points. Then you got to homer it in, because your guy stranded at a 9-inch charge is not going to be nice for you.
Yeah, and like he doesn't have anything else he wants to deep strike in this kind of list anyway. Like maybe the group of 7 bikes. But with 14-inch movement, you might just be better off just leaving it on the board and just flying over terrain.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with that big rune in the middle that the LVO has. So you can certainly hide your bike unit back there and then deep strike your Telemon and then homer it in for some mayhem. That thing could do 25 damage in one round. So that's pretty significant.
I mean, it is only 5 attacks. If it were more than that, it'd be way better.
Oh, dude! If the
Like,
Telemon had the D3 like the Gladys had, but that might still just be 5, but it could be 6 or 7.
yeah, or even if they lowered the damage a little bit to add more attacks, and now you have like a big distraction that you have to deal with, or it kills your tanks, it kills your chaff.
Yeah. And people are surprised when it moves like 8 inches, right? Because they think they can
Oh yeah,
run easily.
most big ass dreadnoughts are real slow.
Yeah.
But not the Custodes ones.
No. So I wish him luck. I hope he does well. He could make a few optimizations, but I do want to see the double fist Telemon smashing some stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a Centurion killer if you get in there. Boom, 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 boom. Bye bye Centurions. What are they, -4? Are they -4 or -3?
Let me check.
That's actually more key than people think it is. -3 versus -4 when Centurions are like freaking 1-up save.
Yep. I played a game earlier today against Centurions actually. I was doing a practice game against Dark Angels, funny enough. And I deleted a squad of Centurions with my Accolons.
Yeah. Oh, Aquilon will do it too. That -4 is so key. The D3 really sucks. Oh god. But
oh yeah, D3 really sucks.
Like you could literally take 4 hits to kill one Centurion if you roll badly on D3s. Like it's so shitty. But yeah. Telemon's pretty fun. So apparently it's only -3.
No, Fist are -3.
Yeah, so your 1-up save Centurions are still on a 4-up save, which really sucks then. Right, but you still kill like 2, maybe 3 of them, but still it's kind of sucky.
Yeah.
For that many points. Because guess what? That unit of Centurions is less points. Okay, cool. Let's move on to Harrison. Shout out to Harrison Jewell. He's the man who I got to stay in his ridiculously awesome house in Seattle when I went to Charity Hammer. Super nice guy. And if people think I have too much Forge World, they have no idea. Harrison had extra boxes, like the big ones, like the Mastodon comes in, extra boxes just lying around all over the place.
Shit.
When you walk into his basement, there's a table, a display table with a Warlord Titan on it, a real one, and it's standing on top of a crushed real Mastodon. So that's crazy. And then he's got like multiple hobby centers. He's got tables. It's a crazy man basement. And so shout out to Harrison. And he's a super nice guy. His wife is super nice. She's a great painter. Really, really cool people. All right, so Harrison is running. What you running, Harrison? His list is called "We'll Reach Around for More CP."
I mean, he's only starting with 4 CP.
Yeah, so he's a disciple.
Maybe less if he's buying a relic, but
yeah. So he's a disciple of our no necessarily need CP philosophy. So he's running a spearhead. In that spearhead, he's got Valoris and a Alaris captain. Let me see, no relic on that, just a Alaris captain. Then he's got his bomb of 6 Aquilon Terminators. Then he's got his it's hard to read. Warlord, -1 to hit Vexilla with the Eagle's Eye.
And Radiant Mantle.
Yeah, that's his Warlord trait, right?
Yeah.
And then he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Bikers. And then triple Caladius, 3 Blaze Cannons. What do you think of that?
I think the 3 Blaze Cannons are a little overkill. I personally like just running 1 in a group of 3.
Yeah, I've after Charity Hammer, I've soured a bit on the Blaze. I don't think it ends up doing as much damage as you'd like because of poor number of shots.
Yeah. If
Because
it had like maybe like two more shots, it'd be like
yeah,
right in that sweet spot.
yeah, like if it was 2 shots per barrel, then I think that would be good because then he would be the old Telemon replacement basically. But it's not. It's half the old Telemon, and so I think the 2 shots really I've soured on it because of that. It was just too many times where you still miss that one wound, or 4-up invuln, saves it, and then you fluff the D3, and so I actually think under almost most circumstances, the old Caladius does more damage to most things that are prevalent right now. So actually, if I was going to run triple Caladius, I'd run 3 normal Caladius now. I don't
Yeah.
even know if I'd throw in a Blaze anymore.
Strength 7 isn't actually that bad. And that nerf didn't end up feeling that bad.
No, and certainly we see less knights these days. So, yeah, like that Blaze is not going to reliably one-shot a tank commander like the Telemon used to. So, yeah, yeah, and then you could save yourself 30 points there. But wish him good luck. He's also got the 5 bike unit. He's kind of similar to my old list here. 6 Aquilon and then some characters. What's interesting, he didn't put a 3-up invuln on the captain. I probably would have, if he had the points. I don't know, I was messing around with it, but I would put the Auric Aquilus on the captain and just run a Storm Shield on the Vexilla instead of using your free relic for a 3-up invuln.
I don't think this is bad by any means. Like your Vexilla's -2 to hit. It means that eliminators suddenly have a much harder time killing you.
Yeah.
I guess people don't run Vindicators anymore, do they?
Not really.
Yeah.
Not now that all of them went up in price.
Yeah.
Okay, I think Harrison will do okay. If he plays smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree. I expect a good performance from him.
All right. We will move on to the next list. Jacob. Kara Quinn says he does not like 6 Aquilon. You can't use any real strat on them. Rather have 2x3. What do you think
Real
of that?
strat?
Well, there's no strats for the Aquilon.
Yeah.
I don't really think
Maybe Avenge the Fallen for
Yeah.
the extra punches. And even then, you want like larger groups to do that anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
And interrupts, right? So if you're charging with 2 groups, now you got 2 people to fight, and you might lose 1 from interrupts. And Avenge definitely is probably the main used stratagem on them, which is really good because sometimes you lose 1 in Overwatch or something that's really annoying. It is hard to fit 6. That's why I think 5 is the optimum Aquilon unit. 6 is getting big with those stupid big bases.
50 millimeters.
Yeah.
Pretty dumb.
Yeah. Anyway, I did ask Forgewood if that was real, and they said yes.
Okay.
All right. Next we have Jacob Smith. Jacob Smith is running a list called Fast Custodes. So he's got an Outrider and a Spearhead. So he's just running with 5 CP. He's got Shield Cap on Bike. Again, no invuln. He's got a Achilles. He's got a Galatis. And a Triple Palace. 5 Bikers. Another Shield Cap. Again with, I don't know where he's put his relic. He doesn't have a relic on his list. And then 3 Caladius tanks. So it's the Triple Palace, 3 Caladius framework. And then 2 Biker Caps. And the 5 Bikers and the 2 Dreads. What do you think of that list?
I think this could potentially be really good. He just has to be really careful with where he puts the Palace tanks.
Yeah.
But I think he should drop one of them and put in a Vexilla.
Yeah, he doesn't have a Vex.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm missing it. Let me see. I think I'm missing it.
Nope.
Yeah,
But
like you're putting all your money on triple Caladius, triple Palace, like, you should probably have a Vexilla.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about the dreadnoughts. Um, like even still, I would always want to have a Vexil somewhere. Um, I don't know.
Yeah. Like, I don't think this can be ultra competitive with the two dreadnoughts in there, but it's kind of cool that he's using them. So kudos to him. I think this, as we talked on a previous episode, the archetype of triple Caladius, triple Palace, that kind of mech list can be strong as long as you don't end up playing Imperial Fist. If you play Imperial Fist, you auto lose basically.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of Imperial Fists out there right now, but it can be strong. It's a lot of shooting, good board control, and the 5 biker unit actually is useful in that kind of list because that might not be the first priority to shoot. Or if it is, then they're not shooting your fire base.
Yep.
So,
You have to deal with the bikes, or they have to deal with the grav tanks.
Exactly. So there's potential there in terms of distraction. And so when you, what I've learned over the months is, if you have multiple, Custodes can't afford for there to be only one thing for people to shoot at. So if you end up deep striking too many things, you actually make it easier for your opponent to deal with your army because then you're just bringing things in sequentially. Whereas if you have multiple threats on the table at one time, then you give them a bit of a decision to make. That doesn't always work out, but I found that sometimes deep striking things were not good, especially in LVO. If there's a big rune, he could put the bikes in there. He could have the tanks at the back. I think there's potential for this list. The 2 dreads are not super optimized, but I think given enough, and they can't go through ruins, and they're going to struggle to go up and down those stupid hills and around those walls and things. So you could easily play around those 2 guys and have them literally do nothing. But I think, yeah. Otherwise, it's kind of a cool idea with the bike unit in with those tanks. Kind of like that. All right, Kara Quinn says, -1 to hit Vexilla, not really worth it against Marines. It's true. But I tell you what, not a lot of Marines are running... not a lot of the top-end players are spending the CP on Chapter Master, actually. It's very situational because hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s is still already pretty good. If they see your Vexilla, they may change their mind, but maybe not. And it's still extremely good against most other armies. So yeah, I think it's still worth it. And most people still need a Vexilla for a Homer. So if you're just planning on running double Vex, then fine. Or if I think there's still enough utility for the -1 to hit as of right now. But that may change with time. But we thought everyone was going to get full rerolls, but they haven't. Blood Angels didn't get it. Dark Angels didn't get it. Grey Knights don't have full rerolls. Nobody got free rolls except for the main Codex Marines, right? So maybe it's not as dire as we think with everybody getting full rerolls. We probably won't get it.
Although but to be fair, we're already like auto hitting with, hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s.
Yeah. I tell you, when I have to hit on 3s, it feels really bad. I'm like, who the hell hits on 3s? Like, what the... Okay. Next we have Jamie Perozzolo.
Jamie Parol. So
Perozzolo. All right. So he is running a single bat, 2 shield caps, 1 eagle eye, 1 orc Aquilus. Good man. He's got impregnable mind on one of his shield caps as the warlord trait. What do you think of that warlord trait?
I think it could potentially be useful. I'm being able to have like 1 deny against like a really clutch like warp time could be really important.
Yeah.
Or null zone, which could also be really important.
Doom.
Yeah.
Any of the Eldar powers, to be honest.
But I feel if you want that, you should invest and just get an Inquisitor
these days.
Yeah.
For even if just buy the cheapest one for 1 deny, the captain can
and
get
the
around.
CP battery.
Yeah, like the captain can get around at least to get into deny range, but it's very easy to play around an 18-inch deny if there's only one person on the field that can do it. And while it's becoming more important now with Eldar probably the second most strongest faction after Marines, and then Possess Bomb, There's a lot of psychic flying around now. Now the plague bearer spam is gone, but possessed bomb is like the new hotness, basically. So there is a lot of psychic around. So one dude with one deny is not going to save you from that. So yeah, it's interesting. The heroic intervention trait is so good though.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you whack it on a captain, so he can always be in range. Like it's
Oh
so
yeah.
good.
I
It's
had
so
that.
good.
I had that come up today. In the game, I got charged by a bunch of bikes, and I was able to pull in Trajan and the Vexilla banner, the combat.
Yeah, yeah, it's so good. Even at worst, it's like 9 inch extra inches of movement. Okay, then he's got the battalion. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6. So he has 5, 5, and 6 custodians. That's a lot. Of which there's a total of 5 spears, 5 shields mixed in. So that's interesting. That's a lot of guardians. Then he has 5 Alaris. He's got the Magnifica and then a 5-man biker unit. This is kind of like an ETC style list.
Yeah. I don't. I think this could be good. We just have to do more testing to see if we can make the Guardian bombs actually be worthwhile.
Well, he doesn't really have like 6 is his biggest unit, and three of those in that unit are shields.
Yeah. I don't know. I really like Guardians, but they just don't have a place in the meta right now.
Yeah, like it seems like because he's got 5, 5, and 6. I feel like Guardians work best either just min units all with shields hiding, or like maybe with a bomb, like a big unit, like 8 or 9 of them for massive attacks. I think like 5 or 6, maybe you're just spending points to make them slightly harder to kill than a 3-man unit with shield. That could be a bunch of points on maybe a double Vex. You cut 1 from each unit. That's your second Vexilla right there to give everything +1 attack. He's got a 5-man Alaris and a 5-man biker, so it'd be nice to have extra attacks there.
Yeah, for sure.
Or having a 6th Alaris or a 6 bike, or like I feel like those extra guardians could be more optimally spent on more bomb, and without making the guardian units any harder to kill because you can buy shields.
It's possible that he's banking on just having enough wounds to just stay alive out in the open.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that as a winning strategy, but
No,
um,
just doesn't work these days.
yeah.
Yeah, because you still have way less wounds than anybody else. Yeah, in the old days, you could bank on just surviving, but you can't these days. The lethality in the game has just gone right up. Okay, yeah, so I think you could optimize that a little bit. Joseph Escobar. Okay, next guy. All right.
The Sagittarium guy.
Yes. Okay. So Joseph is running a battalion and an assassin.
Oh, he was also the one with the assassin. That's right.
So what do you think of assassin these days? 2 CP and 95 points.
Um, I actually think despite the nerf, that's probably still worth it depending on the kind of list you're making.
If it fills a
And
hole for you.
yeah, in my Adepticon list that I'm still testing out, I have an assassin in it because I'm expecting to see a lot of Grey Knights and a lot of 1,000 Suns, with their book coming out sometime this weekend.
Yeah. So you're running a Calexis then. That's your plan.
Yeah, and well, I already own all the assassins, so
Yeah.
if I'm up against something that doesn't have a lot of psychers, I'll grab either the Vindicare or the Calidus to just make them spend more CP, or if it's really chaff heavy, like a Chaos Army, I'll bring in an Evosaur and just rip and tear.
Yeah, it'd be interesting now with the It's interesting. It went to very non-psychic for a while, and then now with Grey Knights and Thousand Suns, I think we're gonna see a lot of Grey Knights players.
Yeah, Grey Knights are nasty.
Yeah.
Like they're
So
actually disgusting now.
yeah. So I wonder whether the Calexis starts to become a thing again. Just because I know it's not super great, but it's that much more necessary now. Like -2 to
Yeah.
cast is pretty good.
Yeah,
So
I found that even with Rex, I was that still wasn't enough denies.
yeah. Well, every single unit in the army can cast. So
Yep.
yeah, if you position it correctly, you could stop all their smites for a whole turn, basically, right?
Yep.
So yeah, so I think that Calexis may well come back into play for armies like ours, unless we somehow get like a better save against mortals. Even
Yeah,
then,
I'm definitely still waiting on that book to come out to see what we actually get.
yeah, yeah.
But until then, I gotta fill the list as if we don't have a book.
Yeah. MWKJSR says it's either Grey Knights or Custodes, having a hard time choosing.
If you
Well,
want to win, play Grey Knights. If you want to have fun, play Custodes.
we don't know that yet, first of all. But as of right now, we're still waiting for a book and they have a book. But yeah. Okay. So this list, other than the assassin, Valoris, a shield captain in Alaris armor, and then 5, 3, and 3 Sags, no Misericordias. The Vexilla in Alaris armor with the -1 to hit, and then the fire base of triple Cladius, triple Palace with 1 blaze cannon. So some interesting choices. What do you think of Sagittarium? They were our new hope, our episode 4 for a period of time.
I actually think they're still good. It's just like everything just dies so quickly that we're kind of forced to running shields.
Yeah, and it helped that those shields got cheaper.
Yeah, but otherwise, I would run like 2 5-man squads of Sags. It's, I mean, like I love the model, and I think they provide just enough shooting in this kind of army to help Will, just pot shots at
Yeah.
just pot shots throughout the army
Yeah.
can help a lot.
Yeah, when I first played them, I was actually disappointed because I thought that they would do more damage with their shooting, but they don't.
Yeah, a lot of people don't expect that they don't actually do that much.
No.
But if you got to take a wound out on a Doom Crawler, for example, they have enough shooting to do that.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's cool. They were definitely our fill a cheap battalion for a period of time until the Guardians came down again and now are harder to kill. So while the shooting is nice, it may not be enough to make them the troop of choice if you're trying to fill a battalion now. But a big unit, I think if you run them, I think you kind of need to run like 5 of them. So you can put out a volume because just 3 guys is probably not going to do that much. Vexilla and Alaris armor is interesting. I don't really see any point of having a Vexilla and Alaris armor. They don't get a weapon, first of all, which is fine. Sometimes that's just a Misericordia on the Vexilla anyway. But deep striking is probably not that useful because then you can't homer for another turn. So you can't homer till turn 3 if you deep strike the guy. And if you're not going to deep strike the guy, then there's no point paying points for the Alaris armor. You know what?
Yeah, and then it's like super telegraph because now it's out in the open or it's somewhere in a building.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and then the person gets a turn to play around you. So I think it's probably we don't need that model at all. I would love a Vexilla on the bike. We won't go down that rabbit hole.
Oh.
But yeah, I just don't think there's a point in paying the points to put a Vexilla in Alaris armor. You get the grenade launcher, no big deal, and I think you get an extra wound, right?
Yeah.
Which is no big deal in somebody who probably doesn't die until the end of the game when you're losing anyway. So, and then the triple palace, triple Calidus, we talked about it already. That's a nice fire base, and it's a kind of like you either start 2 ways: you put your battalion in, or you input your tanks in, and then fill the rest. It's kind of what Custodes building is like these days. Okay, cool. Marc Murphy. Just a few more to go.
Yeah. I hope that list does well, but I'm not expecting it to at all.
I think the mech list will do better than the non-mech lists in this current meta, and they'll do better if they don't happen to meet any fist players.
Yeah, but 200 Marine players out of what,
Yeah.
800? I
That's the
mean,
problem.
there's no way, right?
Yeah. Like, you're probably playing at least 3 out of 6 games against Marines.
Yeah.
Like, at LVO. Like, it's just, yeah. Okay. Marc Murphy has a battalion. He is running Valoris, Biker Cat with the Auric Aquilus, a battalion which is 3 times 2 Guardians, 1 shield each, and then 3 Sagittarum. Then he's got another Vexilla in Alaris armor with the Magnifica, 5 Bikers, and 3 Gladius tanks. This is kind of like a slightly weaker version of the last guy's list.
That's basically it.
It's just he's got the tanks, and then he's not really committed to the mech, and then he's just kind of throwing a few things in here and there. There's not really much to threaten people other than the tanks and the bike unit, so one of those things will die pretty fast. So yeah, it's kind of like the last list, just maybe not quite as strong because it didn't really fully commit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Not much more to say about that one. Let's go on to Ron. All right, Ron Ashley is running a battalion. Valoris, 2 shield captains, 1 in Terminator with the Eagle Eye and 1 on bike with the Auric Aquilus. Then he's got the battalion is 5 Guardians with shields. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2x5 dressed up Sagittarum. Then he's got 5 Alaris, -1 to hit Vexilla, and 3 Bikers. So this is really putting it all into the battalion.
Yeah, this is really investing in it a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure how well it's going to pan out, though.
Yeah, so like you put your 5-man shield unit, engineers or something like that. It's 265 points for each Sagittarium unit, which is a lot for, as we discussed, not a super amount of output. So it does end up adding up, though. Then he's got the Alaris bomb and the Vexilla, and then 3 Bikers just going to get melted. So, yeah. It's almost like it's like a reverse pendulum of the other one. It's like done too much into the battalion and not enough other stuff. It's kind of like you need to find that balance, right? It's like, super mech, super battalion, kind of somewhere in between. And while each one of those archetypes will do well against certain types of lists over a span of a 6-game tournament, it's tough. Karaquin says he wants to try 3 Ares. Yeah, I think you're going to table some fools with 3 Orion or 3 Ares still. Just like the meme list of the double Land Raider. Like, you're going to tables, 2 or maybe 3 out of your 6 opponents, right? Then you're going to lose horribly in the other 3 games. Like, that's just how that kind of list works. Raven Guard forever. Yeah, Raven Guard. All right. And that's it, because we talked about Eric already. So what do you think overall, Chris? These people need to join the Custodes
I'm not
chat.
expecting Custodes to do well. Outside of Eric, I don't expect anything higher than like 2 or 3 wins per guy.
Yeah. And I think just like the book's in a tough place right now, and everybody is so strong. And so, it's a tough place to be for us right now, and hopefully, so I am hopeful after seeing the Grey Knights book, because that is an army, that is an elite army, not too dissimilar to ours. They have all the psychic stuff that we don't have, of course, but I like the flavor of the stuff they've been given, and not just the psychic powers, but like the stratagems and stuff. So I think there's hope for us. Hopefully. So we can hang on to that for another month, I guess, until our book comes out. So yeah. Kara Quinn says, 4-2 unless you win the matchup lottery. But the problem is there's so much critical mass of Marines, you won't win the matchup lottery. Like the chances are you're gonna have to go through at least a couple of Marine players in a 5 or 6 round tournament. Now, I still firmly believe that a good Custodes list played well will beat a Marine list not played well, for sure. But a mediocre Marine list played somewhat well can kill even a good Custodes list played well. Just because of dice. Just because that's the kind of game it is right now. So we'll see. We got 10 guys representing. Go 10 guys. I don't know what's the math on that. I'm not good at math. It's like less than 1%, or it's 1%.
1.25%.
1.25%. Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty
hopefully,
low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you were going to LVO, what would you bring?
I'd probably bring something pretty similar to Eric's list. I don't. I have 12 Icalongs, but half of them are flamers. So obviously I couldn't bring 6 flamers because it's too expensive. And I don't think you can proxy or whatever at LVO. So what I would probably bring is 6 Echelongs, 8 Wardens, probably double Vexilla, cheap Battalion with 3 guys with 3 shields, Trajan by Captain. If I had the points for it, probably try to fit in either an Assassin or maybe Rex. And then just hug terrain, try to charge through walls. Or I'd probably go something like super heavy mech. 3 Graf tanks, 2 Palace tanks, maybe 5 or 6 spikes. It really depends on what I feel the meta would be.
Yeah, well, we know what the meta is. We have all the list.
It's Marines, obviously. So, I definitely go with the full list.
Yeah, I think after having been to Charity Hammer, and tanks are like basically, while they provide you some firepower, it's like 4 big game points like in the bag for the opponent these days. It's not a great feeling. I think we're back to as I said before, we're back to the hide and scamp type list. So Kara Quinn says he's going to try and find all these people. So go for it. That's your quest, Kara Quinn, to find these 10 people, take picture with them, take picture of the army, and give them the link to the Discord chat. I think I would bring my 4A list. I don't think there's much difference between the 4 lists that I have right now that makes much difference, but half dozen one thing, half dozen the other.
4A list. That's the Alaris bomb, right?
No. Is it? No. I have it open right now.
Here it is. Normal list 4A.
Yeah. So this is my basic battalion of 9 shield guys, my utility scalpel unit of 3 Alaris Terminators, then my 5 Aquilon, 7 Wardens, double Vexilla.
I just wish Alaris were cheaper. Even at 71 points per model, it still just ends up being too expensive.
Yeah. I just wonder whether if we played it more, and so this is what I'm going to be trying after CanHammer Team, just play it more and really try and use the pile and shenanigan.
Yeah, and I feel like that might just end up pushing Alaris out over Wardens.
Yeah.
If that does end up being worth it.
You just have to be like that's the hardest part of movement is in the combat phase. Yeah. You have to be really good at. So the other week I played with this stupid Iron Hand Smash Captain that has Student of History that literally can consolidate 6 inches in whatever fucking direction it wants. Just so stupid,
okay.
Right? Like it's literally the stupidest thing you've ever seen.
Wait, it can get out of combat with that?
Yeah, it just consolidates backwards into a room or something. Yeah, it's crazy. So but the ability to not be restricted in how you move, because there's going to be a character somewhere, right? It doesn't say you have to end up next to the character. It just says you can move towards a character, right? So you literally, it's like a free pile in and free consolidate, right?
Is that true?
I think that's what it says.
Not
You have to end up within an inch of a model, but doesn't have to be the character. I'm pretty sure that's what it says.
Ah, you're right. You do have to end up within an inch of a model.
Yeah. So that could be
That's actually pretty big.
powerful.
Yeah.
You just have to aim for a character, but there's characters all over the place, right? Does it actually say enemy character, by the way?
It says enemy unit.
No, but does it say when you can pile in towards a character? Does it say enemy character?
Check the book.
You have to end up within an enemy unit.
Move up to 3 inches towards the nearest enemy character, even if it's not the nearest enemy model.
Okay.
As long as you finish this move within 1 inch of an enemy unit.
Trying to be janky, so you can move towards your own character. But still, if you think about it, there's enemy characters sprinkled all around. That gives you a lot of leeway in terms of how you move up to 6 inches, right?
Yeah, that's actually really big. Even if you're based, you can still move up out of that.
Yes, that's key, right? And then if you add that on to heroic intervention trait, now
Man, that is nasty.
you're talking. This is why I've been I'm going to try out my 7 Alaris Terminators, right? Like, you just don't know what kind of jank you can come up with these 7 dudes. If you really want, you could split them. Now, that's kind of crazy. but like, just think about it, right? Like, each one of these guys is
that might not actually be bad depending on a situation.
Exactly. Like, you don't do it first turn and now you're giving up 7 kills, right? Like, you do it turn 3, turn 4. You still got like 5 guys left, 4 guys left. That could become extremely useful. So caps lock, it's the nearest, but characters, you have, what I'm saying is it may not work out that you could just move wherever you want, but there's a lot of leeway there. You just don't know, right? You have to assess the situation as it comes up, but potentially could give you, right? And if a character is 30 inches away, you can move in almost any direction and still be nearer to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay?
Just not backwards.
Yeah, you just can't move directly backwards. Okay, but you can move 180-degree arc basically and still be nearer to it, as long as your base is 0.1 millimeter microns closer to it, right? So if you want to beat jank, you got to be janky. So,
but is the extra wound better than a 6-up Feel No Pain?
Yes, I think I've made on one hand the number of 6-up Feel No Pains like ever in my life, and that includes playing Drukhari as well.
Because I think today, in my game, I made, I think, like 4 6-up Feel No Pains out of 8 Wardens. That's probably not worth it.
What, to go for Wardens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you're only making, like, on average, like 4 or 5 saves on that, that's probably just not worth it. Like, even if they're cheaper, that's probably just not worth it.
Yeah, I don't put any stock into 6-up Feel No Pain. It sucks. The number of mortals I've stopped in the psychic phase with 6-up save is like negligible. Yeah,
I would just try that out then.
I would rather just have the extra wound. Yeah, man, try it out, man. Try it out. Like, use the jank. So that is definitely something I'm going to try out my 7 Alaris list. Actually, I can't find it right now, which is annoying.
Actually, that could still just end up being better, period, because of the access to stratagems. Shooting at characters with 7 Alaris, that's 14 shots into somebody's face.
Right?
Oh,
you're
yeah.
Gank a character.
It's
No
really
Overwatch. No Overwatch.
Yeah.
Dude,
against Marines as well, which is also really big.
There's utility in this list, man.
Mm-hmm.
There's utility on this list. Here it is. It's my 4B. So 7 Alaris Terminators, 5 Aquilon, double Vex, and I even had space for an extra Custodian. Because I had like 50 points with nothing to do with it, which is annoying.
Experimental Alaris bomb list.
Yeah, it's my 4B, basically. I think I pinned it. Anyway.
Yeah, you did.
So yeah, or I might bring that. I might bring that to LVO just to try it out
8
against.
times 3, 24. 7 times 4 is 21.
You're literally doing math in your head right now.
Yeah, I mean, you get more wounds from the wardens, but you can't rely on that 6 of Final Pain.
No, you can't.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, I know mathematically it equals like an extra X number of wounds, but at the end of the day, like math is math.
Yeah.
You know, if you play 10,000 games, then it probably does work out that way. But on a game by game basis, you just how much stock would you put on anything that's 6 up? Like nothing. Right?
Well, I mean, you say that, but I know a couple orc players. Like they live and die by the 6s.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, so I think that's about it. I wish these people good luck at LVO. We'll be following them closely, and hope we put some ideas into people's head. And I hope we were fair in our critique. Obviously, we're just a couple of armchair quarterbacks sitting here critiquing other people's lists, but. And I hope that I dropped a bomb on people. 7 Alar's Terminators. You heard it here first. If this shows up in the meta, it was right here. January, whatever date it is. January 20th. Cool. So tomorrow night, as I said, we're on doing podcasts. We'll be talking about LVO with Nick, who's been prepping. His videos have been on the channel, and we're going to talk LVO and do our fantasy LVO draft. Then Thursday, there's a game of Charlie's playing Orcs against Triple Knights in preparation for CanHammer Team. Yeah, that should be actually an interesting game. Continuing our ETC practice leading up to CanHammer Team. Next week is, I think, the week before CanHammer Team. Let me see. No, next week I got something set up. Yeah. Oh, next week is a game versus Raven Guard. I'll be playing against a Raven Guard. That's on the Thursday, and I'll probably throw in a Tactica somewhere in that week. Have not decided yet. And then the week leading up to CanHammer Team, we're going to have a game, and then the live pairings on the Wednesday, as tradition before CanHammer Team. If you're listening, CanHammer Team lists are up. They're in a 72-hour list check period, so anybody can go through them and mark errors. After the list check period, any errors that make it to the day of the tournament are considered legal on the day. So this is 72 hours when people get their chance to chime in. Any other announcements? Not really. Thank you very much for joining me, Chris, a.k.a. Random Scrub 2. Where can they find you other than hanging out the Custodes Discord? You have a Twitter or any shout-outs, channels?
Yeah, I have a Twitter, but I never use it.
You never use it? All right. Yeah. Cool. And do consider joining the Custodes Discord. If you like talking about Custodes as much as we do, then join it up. I put the link there in the chat. And thank you very much, and we'll see you guys later.
Yeah.